Welcome to episode 707 of Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me, at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord, or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or over on the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night, right before Michael Strange and Trouble Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange for having me on the network and putting my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, you can find... I've totally forgotten how I usually go about that section of the introduction. You can share the show and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. It's been a little while. You can also find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, including my most recent release, Salsido Paranormal Experiences. You can also sign up for the Patreon page and get all the content I have created there, plus whatever new content I create in the future. And or you can just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. I haven't given up on going to conventions altogether. I just want to make sure that next time I go to one, I'm with a group. So that's basically that's where that money would go for the traveling expenses and all that. So anyway, glad to be back here doing these shows, sharing these true stories. So let me get to the file and we will get started. And thank you all for being here, especially for the live recording. So this one says, this happened to me about 2 weeks ago in North Carolina, in the mountains near a small field. I was driving my mom's car, leaving home to get some food. While performing a 3-point turn in the driveway, the headlights illuminated a creature in the nearby field. It was about 12 to 15 feet tall. It appeared to be emaciated and hairless. It had a narrow torso with disproportionately long arms and legs. It didn't have a nose or mouth. Its eyes appeared to be empty sockets. The creature noticed me somehow, despite not having eyes that I could see, and then bolted into the woods. I was horrified and quickly drove away. I have not encountered the creature again since returning home. What did I see? And that's where that one ends. I don't know what they saw in that one. I feel like I've come across similar reports in other shows here that I've recorded in the last couple months or so. I don't know what that is. It sort of fits like a I don't know, like a rake or like this sort of tall creature that appears to be all white. Usually, though, I believe they have a lot more of those other creatures have eyes and a mouth. This one not having that. I wonder if it was just so small it wasn't visible from that distance, or if it just really didn't have any. Same with the eyes. I don't know. But I'm glad that the person didn't have any more experiences there with that. Hopefully it was just passing through. I do think that can happen sometimes. So, and that's hopefully the case when you see something weird like that and you never see it again. Hopefully that just means it's gone. It's left the area. But yeah, I don't know what to make of that one. That's really tall. 12 to 15 feet. That's beyond human as far as I know in this current point in time. So, yeah. Moving on to the next one here. This one says, I work in a courthouse built in 1919 in the state of Washington. The 911 dispatch center is located in the basement with no windows to the outside. The staff here cover 24/7 shifts. Multiple staff have reported seeing shadowy figures moving past two windows, heading into different hallways. A staff member getting toilet paper from the supply closet heard jingling behind her. When she turned, she felt someone blow smoke in her face, but no one was there. A deputy entering the center at 10 p.m. asked about someone walking down the hall. Only 2 dispatchers were on duty, and we confirmed no one else was there. Knocking noises have also been heard on the walls. A woman's face has been seen in the mirror behind one staff member while she was passing by. The security alarms in one particular office has been inexplicably, that's a hard word to say, set off multiple times. Law enforcement officers are sometimes sent to check the area and turn off the alarm. Surveillance cameras and screens are set up for all offices in the courthouse, but no clear explanation for these events has been found. There are no records of anyone dying on the property, but it definitely feels like the place is haunted. And that's where that one ends. Sounds like a lot going on there. I often wonder when it comes to air or smoke being sort of blown at someone, if that's meant to be a negative thing, or more of just trying to get people to notice whoever or whatever is there. Maybe it usually doesn't work, but then in just that one case out of who knows how many, it did. But that's a lot going on. You have shadows, you have sounds, you have apparitions in a couple cases there. At least one case with the woman in the mirror. And these are people, especially when it comes to police, that are trained to observe things and to just be on alert. And so I don't know what's going on there, but it sounds like it's just an active location. So, but yeah, that's a lot. I wonder if the stress, the emotional energy that goes on there because of the nature of what it is, being a 911 call center, or dispatch, and having just the things that police deal with all the time on their minds. I wonder if that could contribute in some cases to activity. I don't know. But yeah, that's a wild one there, all this stuff going on in that courthouse. Moving on to the next one here. Let's see here. All right, there we go. This one says, this happened at around 9:30 p.m. during my typical bedtime routine. I was scrolling on my phone on the couch with the TV on and the volume low, and only half paying attention to a show. I distinctly heard my wife say, "We need you," and I looked toward my bedroom doorway, or our bedroom doorway, but she wasn't there. I felt spooked and expected my wife to appear in the doorway, but she didn't. After waiting for about 10 minutes, I went back to looking at my phone. My wife eventually walked out of the bedroom, and I asked if she needed anything. She denied saying anything or needing help. When I told her what happened, she was surprised and amused by it, but I wasn't. It was an unsettling thing to hear, and that's where that one ends. I always hope when you get accounts like that, of someone saying, "We need you," I always hope it's more of a residual thing, because then you have to wonder what's going on. Um, and if it's something to do with another time period or another, who knows, another dimension, then it's going to be difficult in a lot of cases for anyone to help, when they don't even know who they're hearing, or who they will be talking to if they did talk, did respond. All those kinds of details, you have no idea. So I don't know what to make of that, except that it sounds like the person there was sure of what they heard, and yeah, I don't know. Hopefully everything was okay there and is okay there, and stays that way. But I don't know what they heard. Moving on to the next one here. We're getting through these pretty quickly today. This one says, yeah, okay, there we go. This happened one summer evening at around 5 p.m. The sky was a light blue transitioning to a yellowish hue, providing plenty of daylight. I was 14 at the time, riding in the passenger seat of my mom's car. Both of us saw a series of 5 to 7 glowing white round orbs arranged in a V-shaped formation. The orbs moved silently and steadily across the sky, slightly to the right of the windshield. The orb's height seemed comparable to that of a low-flying helicopter, and their length resembled the size of a truck. The lights faded in sequential pattern. Each orb blinked out completely, or faded out completely, over about 5 seconds. As one orb brightened back, the adjacent orb started fading out. When a light faded out, there were no visible craft, figure, or structure behind it, only clear blue sky. There was no indication of lights being projected onto any surface. We watched this for about 5 minutes until the formation moved out of view. We still have no idea what we saw that day. And that's where that one ends. Those kinds of accounts are the ones that make me wonder what's really out there. I do think a lot of lights and a lot of craft are made by humans. I think probably most of them are. But then when you have these cases, unless it's some kind of extremely efficient or effective stealth technology that can also allow for lights to be appearing and then fading without them revealing the source of their sources, that's the only way I could see that being anything made by people. Beyond that, I have no idea. Other than maybe something other than people, other than regular humans here as we know them. So, and it's ironic in a way that I've had that story for a little while now, that true story for a little while now, but it's sort of ironic in a way to have that one come up now after all the recent events in the last month or so with drones and everything being seen over New Jersey and other areas. And I followed some of that, but I think so much of what is seen is probably made by people somewhere. I also wonder, from what I've been looking into over the years, it seems like the stranger the sighting or the experience, the less people there are there to witness it, usually. There's always exceptions, and I could be wrong on this. But I've just noticed that usually you don't have just hundreds of people seeing anything other than maybe lights and or craft in the air. And so I wonder about that, what is going on there. And if it's just a few people at a time that see excuse me, vehicles doing things that they can't explain, or even see other beings in or around or near the vehicles, near the craft. Usually it's not a whole town full of people at one time. Everyone is welcome to correct me if I'm wrong, but because of that sort of pattern that I've noticed over the years, I'm not as interested in all the sightings that make the mainstream news when it comes to that. So if anyone has been wondering why I haven't covered that, or I don't cover a lot of sort of reports of craft or lights that this is talked about by the majority of the media, or a lot of other sort of podcasts or social media personalities. There's nothing against anyone. I feel like so much of it is made by people, and that's not what I'm as interested in. So yeah, that's kind of my stance on all that. I'm glad that one came up so I could sort of go over that, because I've been thinking about that lately as I'm trying to get back onto a regular pattern of recording and releasing shows. So let's see if we can probably get a couple more here. This one says, I was dozing in my armchair in the family room and kitchen area after a day of shopping. My granddaughter entered the kitchen, and I opened my eyes. I saw a little girl leaning against the pantry door. She had short blonde hair and was wearing a pink t-shirt and blue shorts. We exchanged a brief, surprised look for a few seconds before the girl disappeared abruptly, like a light switched off. I found the experience quite surprising but pleasant. I could see the girl as clear as day. This was my first paranormal experience in my house, despite having lived here for over 10 years. The house is a 2-story Italian-style residence in Australia. So that's where that one ends. Those kinds of sightings where nothing major is going on. It's not no one trying to frighten anyone. No one, again, like one of the previous stories, asking for help. Just both of the involved individuals, the person sharing their true story, and then whoever they saw, being surprised that the other could see them. Those are always amazing to me, because I wonder, is that some kind of a time anomaly? Was that a living girl in some other time, maybe future, maybe past, who knows, that lived in the area, and somehow just there was some weird overlap in time so that the two could see each other? I don't know, but yeah, I always wonder with those sightings, when there doesn't seem to be anything wrong other than the fact that there's a sighting happening at the time. So I think those are neat, and you don't always hear about those. Again, so often you hear about the more frightening or negative ones. So, but yeah, that's that one there. And I think we have time for one more here before I stop for this episode. This one says, my family has been hearing a single knock on the front door almost nightly for several years. The knocking sometimes stops for days or weeks before returning. The sound varies in intensity. sometimes soft, but recently louder, often startling me. I wonder if the knocking could be paranormal, especially since it began after my grandmother's passing in 2020. I hope the knocks are a sign from her, letting us know that she is present. This morning, our artificial Christmas tree, located near the front door, turned on by itself. The tree has built-in lights, but no timer, and it has never turned on by itself before. Are these things connected? And are they paranormal? And that's where that one ends. I would say it seems like they are paranormal. I wonder if it was, I could sort of see, excuse me, in a storyline here, the grandmother that had passed coming back to this house where their family is at and trying to get their attention, and then not managing to do so, or at least not thinking that they were able to do that, and so going away and then coming back and trying different ways. I wonder if the events are connected. There's no way to know for sure, but it seems like they could be, almost like she finally decided to just come in to the house, and then that recent event of turning on the lights was her way of sort of, again, trying to get their attention and saying everything's okay. I don't know. But that seems like it's possible. The knocking, there's so many reports of that in so many cases, and sometimes it's on front doors, other times it's just in random spots in houses. And it seems like sometimes that's all there is. Other times there's sort of a sense of a presence along with it, to where people get this either a good or neutral or bad feeling. And so I think that's a sort of a whole subset of experiences people have had. And I wonder about that too. When it happens and you don't get any sense of what's going on, is that, I don't know, could that be residual, like people working on a building? Or is it maybe multiple beings, multiple spirits, if they're not in a physical body, trying to get attention in the only way that at the time they know how? I'll never forget I've talked about this before, when I stayed at this training center for people with low vision or no vision. I stayed there several years ago, and back when I was almost out of high school, and then of course again about a decade later. And in this apartment, they had sort of a space set up to look like a traditional apartment, and so people could get familiar with that sort of a surrounding. And they had a really small kitchen. Well, not too small, actually. It might be bigger than mine. Yeah, it's bigger than mine, so it's not that small. But anyway, in the daytime, always in the daytime and the evening, but never at night. If I was there, I would hear knocking on all the walls and the ceiling, just random, like a ball of some kind, just bouncing around the room, hitting one wall, then another wall, the ceiling, just random knocks all throughout the day. But it was only if I was there myself. I also remember that. Like if there was cooking classes going on next door, because it was right next to the cooking, the kitchen classroom area, I don't remember hearing those sounds during the day. But if there was no one else in that part of the building at the time, and it was daytime, I would hear those sounds. So anyway, thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.